Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Comics Evolve, where we discuss all things around comics media culture with your hosts, Andy, Jarian, and Alex.
Welcome to Comics Evolve, myself, Andy Stead.
And I'm Jarian Gibson.
And I'm Alex Stroud.
We're back. We're live. We're talking about Secret Invasion Episode 3. We're talking about news of the week. But before we get there, Alex, how are you?
Good. Nothing really exciting to share this week, I don't think. So,
Report. Sometimes there's just too much to report, so we report nothing. How are you, Jarian?
Doing good. I've been off all week. Had family in town. Everyone is gone, though, so it's just us. But today we did add a new family member to the group. So we got another puppy. Her name is Sylvie. I lost on the naming rights again. So I lost on the last one with Pepper. And my wife wanted Sylvie last time, but my daughter wanted Pepper. So she got to name our other pup that we got a year ago. Just over a year ago. And so my wife named the new one Sylvie because she lost out to Pepper, my daughter. I was trying to go for Riri or Rescue or something like that, but I got overruled for Sylvie. So got a border collie mixed puppy.
Rescue would have been kind of cool if you got the dog from a shelter or something like that.
Yeah, cool. Relevant. I like it. Yeah.
And it goes along with, because our other one was Pepper Potts. So and when she suits up, nice. She's Rescue. That was my whole argument this morning, but nope, didn't pass.
Awesome.
So
you could secretly call her Rescue. That could be her superhero.
Make it her middle name.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Blackbeards 87. How's it going? Comics Evolve. Congrats on the new puppy. Thank you.
Good to have you. Yeah, I mean, I've not been doing a great deal. I did start reading Judgment Day, but I've literally read like the first 3 pages, so I'm not really far. I'm not very far in yet. But I like that. I already like the dynamic. You know, it's a story. I don't know if either of you guys have read the sort of main story up, but it's kind of X-Men versus Eternals with Avengers stuck in the middle of it. So I'm looking forward to reading it. Actually, it looks like a cool story, and the first few pages got me gripped. So yeah, looking forward to that one. But I'll tell you what I did do. I spoke about them last week. Bitty Pops, Funkos Bitty Pops, and I went to Paul's shop, Geek Garage, and I bought some Bitty Pops. Here are said Bitty Pops. They got Star Wars ones. So look, let's see how tiny they are. I'm going to unbox them right now. So,
and a mystery one. Nice.
Yes. So this is it. So these are the Star Wars ones. So at the moment, apparently Marvel are dragging their heels on these at the moment. They're not out till the later part of the year. But so you've got Disney, you've got DC, and you've got Star Wars. So I picked up some Star Wars Bitty Pops. You get 4 in a pack. So here in the UK, they're $12.99. Or Paul's selling them for $12.99 from the geekgarage.com. Yeah, you get 4 in a pack. So you get 3 that you can see. And then you get this little mystery one. So nice. On the back of the pack here, it shows you the mystery. Oh, you can't really see there. Shows you the mystery ones you can get. So in the Star Wars packs, you can get a silver-plated stormtrooper. You can get what looks like Grand Admiral Tarkin. You can get a Tusken Raider, and you can get Jar Jar Binks. So I'm going to undo these now because I'll show you how they come in. So they come in their own little case. And they're really funny. You're going to like how they come in because my son got some. Oh, you can get Harry Potter ones as well.
Oh, that's cool.
My son got some Harry Potter ones. So let's get these out and have a little look. So the mystery one, look. So if you see now, I've taken it out of the box. The mystery one is still wrapped up in black wrapper. So you still can't see. But let's grab out one of the little ones first. So I'm going to take out Obi-Wan Kenobi first of all with his little box. So you'll see, look, that's the box. Can you see it? Look how tiny it is.
Yeah, that is small.
It's hilarious. Yeah. And then look what happens is you can take the lid off and then he's
That's cool.
That. That's hilarious. So the lid is just like the little Funko box.
So is that bottom like a stand for it then too?
Right. So the stand comes in the box and you can put the
but we know when you pull it out though.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. When you take that off, yeah. So when you take the box off of the Funko, there's a little stand on the end. Yeah, can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
There's a little stand, so it will stand up I'll stand him there on my thumb so you can see how small he is. But yeah, we'll put the lid back on the box. And then inside the box, you get this little Perspex stand. It's printed up with Funko on the top there. So that's quite nice. And it's a hard stand. So they stand inside. So there we go. I can load them all inside of the hard stack. And there's the little Jawa. So I've got Luke and I've got a Jawa in the hard stack. So let's have a look. Let's have a look what the Paul said he hasn't seen a Silver Stormtrooper yet. So let's have a little look and see what this is.
Hold on. Where's the reaction?
Oh, if I'm honest, ooh, I can see the top of it. So I think I know what it is. So it is what we've got is we've got a little Tusken Raider Sandman there. So it's not the Silver Stormtrooper. Hey, there we go. But there he is, the little Tusken Raider there.
That's
He's quite funny. He's quite funny. So there we go. He's going to go in my little hard stack there so they can stack up. There's my 4 little bitty pops. They're quite funny. They're quite cute. It's a little bit like that movie with Matt Damon in it. What was that movie called?
Like Shrinking, when they get shrink down and they're all doing the whole. Yeah, I think it's called Shrinking or something like that, or Downsizing.
Yeah, Downsizing.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And it always made me laugh because basically they were saying in that movie that, we'd got too much stuff and there's too many people. And it's like, that's what I think about Funkos. It's like, I've got too many Funkos. If only they was always that small. I could collect thousands.
I have a very strong feeling that design is going to make its way to regular size Funkos, and they'll just make it to where like the box will be like a hard plastic box or something, and you can just pull it off and then just leave them all in their stands or whatever. And I feel like they could market those for like $20 as Funkos, and people would buy them. And so Funko, if you're listening, do that. But
that'd be a great design, especially to protect them too. That we don't have to buy the external protectors for them.
Yeah, there you go. They'll stack on top of each other. It's killing 3 birds with one stone, isn't it?
So those little like plastic stands that they come on that like interlock on that little platform too. I mean, it's like how Funko collectors do the little platforms for the Funkos. I mean, very very similar there. So
yeah, interesting. But yeah, so there we go. There's some bitty pops for you if you've never seen bitty pops before. There they go. But yeah, other than that, not been doing anything marvelous this week. I have watched. Me and my son decided to do a Mission Impossible run. So we watched the first one, which is a fantastic movie, actually. If you've not seen the Mission Impossible movies, go back and watch the first one. Brilliant movie. Really, really good movie. Great cast. Really well executed. Great story. Great little twists and turns. Excellent. Second one. Sorry, Alex, go on.
I was going to say there's a new one coming out next week, isn't there?
Like Vengeance or...
Oh God! Dead Reckoning.
Oh, Dead Reckoning. Thank you.
Dead Reckoning. The first one is fantastic. The second one, directed by John Woo. Not so good. Ethan Hunt all of a sudden becomes some sort of martial arts, expert, and there's lots of slow-mo and lots of sort of panning scenes. It feels like you're watching Con Air or Face Off, and it's not quite so good. We're on the third one at the moment, and it starts getting a little bit better in the third one. So,
is that the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman's the villain?
It is.
That's my favorite one. He plays a great villain. Rest in peace, Philip Seymour Hoffman. But he played a great villain in the movie. That dude had some range.
Yes, he
his
did.
Acting skills.
Yeah, he certainly did, and very, very good movie. Really, it is a good movie. We're nearly at the end of that one now. We seem to get these movies on and get about 2 hours in, and then we'll both be falling asleep. So we're like, turn it off, and we'll watch the rest of it tomorrow. So, but good movies. But second one, you could probably give a miss. Third one's excellent, and then I think I know the last few they start getting good. But in preparation for Dead Reckoning next week.
So this one's 7, right? The
6 or 7.
6, I believe, maybe 7. Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
Go on, Karen. While you're reading that, Jarian, let me think.
Yeah, from the chat here, Blackbeard's via Twitch. I look forward to the new Mission Impossible movie, one of my favorite movie series. And then we have a new listener, the Nostalgic Podblast from YouTube says, "Hey fellas, hey Nostalgic, how's it going? Thanks for joining in."
Yeah, awesome. This will be the 7th one, Alex.
Okay, awesome.
This will be the 7th one, and the stunts in this movie. Tom. I mean, I know that I know there's Tom Cruise. Let's not get into Tom Cruise, but The guy does his own stunts, a lot of his own stunts. And I was just reading in the newspaper today about one of this latest stunts that he does in Dead Reckoning, and the hours that he put into this stunt were ridiculous. 500 skydives, base jumps, and something else to get this stunt. 500. That's ridiculous.
And that motorcycle stunt that he did with that jump into the skydive too, that was like a really
That's the one. That's the one they said they'd done all the practice for. 500 skydives because he had to get his body in the right position, and then they'd done base jumps and they'd done jumps off of other things. Yeah, incredible. I mean,
and I saw something the other day. He wanted to like compare himself. He wants to be like Harrison Ford, where he's playing this character for like another 20 years too. So like, you know, in Mission Impossible, and I guess like, you know, he wants to be in that franchise for a really long time. So I mean, I can't imagine him like kind of slowing down anytime soon. I feel like, you know. Yeah,
I mean, why not as well? I genuinely believe that the second one was a bit naff. After that, yeah, good movies. I really enjoyed them. Really enjoyed them.
So, question here via the Nostalgic Pod Blast from YouTube. Did you fellas review Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? If so, thumbs up or thumbs down? I haven't seen it yet. I have friends that seen it, and all the friends that I've talked to that seen it said it's a pretty solid movie. It's definitely better than Crystal Skull. I just haven't seen it yet, but I'll probably see it at some point.
Yeah, same.
Exactly. Yeah, I haven't seen it. My biggest issue with that franchise right now is the original trilogy feels like it's about things like mystical, kind of like the Holy Grail, you know, the Ark of the Covenant, kind of like this thing. And then when they made the shift to aliens and the Crystal Skull, it was kind of like a weird kind of thing for me. And I think in this most recent one, it's about time travel. So
it's not time travel, but I have to figure out. I have to go back and double check what it. But the Nostalgic Pod Blast says thank you. I haven't seen it yet. I actually watched the Crystal Skull yesterday, and it was a marathon yesterday. So Raiders of the Lost Ark, you know, Temple of Doom, Holy Grail. Yep. And then so basically it was like a marathon of all the 4 movies, and then Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull, I think the biggest miss in that movie was they could have kind of handled the mantle over to someone else.
Yeah.
You know, like they set up Shia LaBeouf, you know, basically being his son, and, you know, between him and Miriam from Raiders of the Lost Ark, they kind of, you know, circle back to that. And, you know, I like the tie-ins because they had some of the other people from before they went with. I don't think Crystal Skull is that bad, and it kind of did stay in the mystical realm, but the way they tied the aliens to was like to all the ancient civilizations, like responsible for the pyramids, for Mayan culture, you know, for Aztecs, all that kind of stuff. So they kind of tied it in pretty well. It's not my favorite, you know, one. I think Temple of Doom is my favorite Indiana Jones movie, but you know, it's an okay movie.
You know, when I watched that movie for the first time, the only thing I could think of is that guy from the History Channel and Ancient Aliens being like, aliens! Like, I was like, oh no, like, oh
I'm not saying it was the aliens, but it was the aliens.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
the aliens.
Like, and so that was why I was kind of just like, oh no, not like this. But yeah, like, I mean, I feel like the biggest like misstep in the Crystal Skull was at the end of that movie, you know, the hat blows off the coat rack and the kid goes to pick it up, and it's like supposed to be like him passing the torch.
The torch, like a mantle.
And then Indiana Jones is like, nope, not yet, and puts it back on. And I was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna get another Indiana Jones movie at some point, you know.
So question for you guys and for anybody listening. Do you think that more movies and more franchises should do a James Bond?
Yes.
Do you think more? So Indiana Jones. We've just spoken about Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible, and obviously being a predominantly Marvel podcast, you know, we know that we've lost people like Tony Stark and like Steve Rogers, and I'm not trying to say that we should undermine their on-screen deaths or on-screen story arcs, but do you think that there's more of a shout, generally speaking, within cinema to James Bond it? You know,
it's a mantle. You know, they could do. I mean, look at even some of the horror films, right? Wasn't Friday the 13th was more of a Jason was a mantle, depending on which movie you watch, because some of them wasn't the original Jason. It was other people who kind of went crazy. And I even think was Michael Myers or the other one was kind of I guess a little bit different, because the Rob Zombie ones, it was a different person. I believe I'll go back and watch them. But yeah, some of those franchises should still do more, you know, more mantles, even if Tom Cruise is done playing Ethan Hunt. they could still make Mission Impossible movies with other people, right? Other teams,
Yeah. I
So,
mean, or they could just, use another actor for
Yeah.
Ethan Hunt.
Mhm.
I mean, I was watching I was watching some James Bond movies just recently, and I watched one of the Timothy Dalton ones. Timothy Dalton, by the way, great James Bond.
Mhm.
Such a shame that he only got the 2 movies. It's absolutely superb, James. And actually, his movies are probably some of the best James Bond movies. Not necessarily just because of him, but because they're great movies. But yeah, I mean, more franchises. I feel like they should do that. They should treat us more. They should, like we understand, like we get it. Actors get old, like we understand that, but we want to see more stories with these guys, especially the comics. I mean, comics wise, Steve Rogers should be about 200 years old by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd love to see more Captain America stories. Just maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be Chris Evans. Or
Yeah.
I would love to see an Isaiah Bradley, I can't speak, story, when he was Captain America, and kind of have like that, maybe like a Disney Plus special or short run series with that, just show some of the different Captain Americas through time. I think they could do that with the Captain America mantle.
Yeah, for me, I think it's like one of those situations where like I used to not feel this way, but I'm starting to kind of feel this way where I really believe in like the strong trilogy idea. If you put like an actor in a like a trilogy just for 3 movies, and then maybe we move on to somebody else after that. Because I feel like after like a trilogy, most franchises struggle to do like a 3rd movie really
Yeah.
well by the point of the trilogy, and sometimes the 2nd movie is kind of a misstep in some trilogies. But I think like if you try and do a bunch of movies like this is like I've heard Indiana Jones has like a scene where like he's like de-aged, but he's still got the old man Harrison Ford voice in it, and it's like it's kind of just like you just in that moment are like, hey, you kids, get off my lawn, kind of type of like thing, like with Harrison Ford. He seems like an angry old man, but like it's like one of those things to me where I feel like if you overextend yourself, you like get yourself locked in. Like now with like 5 movies in Indiana Jones, like it makes me think like, well, you should do like one more with Indiana Jones and just finish out the 2nd trilogy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so like it's almost one of those things. I don't like them doing like a 4th movie and then just like leaving things in some instances. I almost feel like, you do your 3 movies and then you switch to somebody else.
I mean, so here's a modern day example, what they did with Mantles. Triple X series, right? They made 3 movies in the Triple X movies. The first one was with Vin Diesel. The second one was with Ice Cube, and supposedly Vin Diesel died in the second one when they went through and just kind of cleaned house. But the 3rd movie was the return of Xander Cage, who was Vin Diesel's name in the Triple X series. They could have kept making Triple X movies with different action actors, right? They just could have done that because it's a mantle, and it was a proper mantle. Similar to James Bond. So they could have taken more Triple X stars. I actually kind of enjoy those movies a little bit, But yeah, something like that would work out too as well.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And that's how you pad out the beginning of a show. Right, okay, let's get to doing what we're here to do. Let's talk about Secret Invasion Episode 3. Alex, I'm going to start with you because just before we came live, you said, I absolutely love this episode. So let's throw it over to you to kick this one off.
Man, so I love like high stakes situations with like geopolitical things happening, and like it's a race against the clock and we have to stop this from happening and everything. And the whole time I'm like watching this episode, I'm like, wow, everything's like working out like, just like the way they want it to. It seems like they're gonna like be able to stop this. And then at the end of the episode, when you get to that just weird twist where like Gravik knows, and he's like, oh, this was all like just a part of my plan to flush out the person I've been looking for. Yeah, I was just like, dang, like, this is one of the best episodes I think in a Disney Plus show I've seen in a long time, because it was just like full throttle. It was, as soon as it got rolling, it went hard and fast, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it seems like too, everything's tied to London for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even with like, for example, since it was 4th of July holiday week here, all the Captain America movies were on TV. I caught parts of the Winter Soldier. It's kind of funny that, back then when Hydra, so basically the Skrulls are the new Hydra right now, infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. But I wonder if there were Skrulls in Hydra as well, because that Alexander Pierce comment about dirty bomb in Russia, and what happened? The bomb in Russia in this series. Was he kind of foreshadowing events? Also, too, when Fury goes back to Europe at the end at his gravesite when he's talking to Natasha and Sam and Steve, did he go back to London? Back to the Skrulls. So it was interesting that those kind of tie-ins were kind of laying some foundation there. And then we get that flashback, right, in the beginning of the episode. Again, back to London, it sounds like, where we get the Dracoff name drop, right? So he was using Skrulls and he didn't recognize Vara yet. It went in her new shell. But again, more ties there they've laid out there through different parts. So, laying the foundation for Skrulls doing a lot of dirty work and helping Fury kind of rise to the ranks in Shield and stuff. And, he made a promise to them to keep their promise, and now they're pissed, and you can see how this is all laid out. The one last thing I noticed too, I didn't realize this, but his wife, the actress, is the same lady who played his mother in the Unbreakable, Split, and Glass franchise.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. She played his mother. Yeah. I was looking at her. I was like, why does she look so familiar in that voice? And I was like, is she the mom from Unbreakable and Glass? And I was like, yep, that's her. So some ties there. Yeah.
Very clever. I like what you said there, Jarian, about the ties to the rest of the MCU. I'm really liking how this is. There's so many, but they're quite subtle. Like that Dracoff comment, you could quite easily have completely passed that off and just completely forgotten about it. Nerds like us will pick that up. We'll easily pick that up, but the normal viewer would just completely miss that. And I think that's really important, actually, that can happen, because it's then not so relevant that somebody's got to understand what it means. But for us, it's kind of like, great, like, there you go. And I think that just highlights the richness of the MCU, how far we've come, and the history that we've built, or say we, so we're involved, the history that Marvel Studios have built over the last 15 years, that they can drop. I mean, how many different little hints have we had? We've had hints to Alexander Pierce, we've had hints to Dracoff, we've had all sorts of different little drops in there from multiple different movies and multiple different projects. Fantastic. So subtle, but they're there for us to see.
Well, I like it too because it's like historical, right? Because it goes back and it says like things like Black Widow, like her whole situation with Fury and coming into the fold. Probably none of that would have happened had the Skrulls not been involved.
Yep.
So it's an interesting thing to think about that, Black Widow probably wouldn't have joined Fury's side had the Skrulls not been involved all this time. And that's something that's just been behind the scenes that we would have never seen, thought of, heard about until now.
And also too, the parallels between Fury and Vara / Priscilla and Clint and his family as well. I wonder if we're going to get any kind of tiebacks to Clinton joining up the Shield. Also, is that part of the Skrulls too? Are we going to get any more flashbacks or history lessons in this series? That's one of the best things I'm liking about this series, is those subtle little references to past things kind of tie them together, that Skrulls have been here pretty much the entire time. It's like that and Anchorman when they're in the bar and he needs to assemble, and like, we've been here the entire time.
We're here.
That's the Skrulls in the MCU. I wonder how far, we at least know they go as far back as Captain Marvel movie, but I wonder if there's been some here before. What else have they done besides helping with Shield? They have to have some that were part of Hydra too. I can't see how they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, it's something that one of the best things I'm liking about this series so far is I have absolutely no idea what's going on and who's who, which I love. I love it. I love that. I love it. You're kind of going, wait a second. Like, we'll come to that ending scene in a moment, but I still don't believe it. Like, I don't believe anything.
It's too easy.
Exactly.
There's shots in the trailer that show stuff that has not been in the show yet that make me believe, unless they're flashbacks, then that didn't just happen.
So you want to talk? Which one do you want to talk about? The which one? The one that they're trying to say it's a Skrull, or the other one that supposedly?
Let's talk about Gaia.
Okay.
Let's talk about Gaia. Let's talk about Gaia in general, shall we? So first of all, you've got. Let's talk about her, the actress. So you got Emilia Clarke in. You got Emilia Clarke, one of the biggest young actresses. I mean, I say young, she's got to be in her 30s, I guess, but still relatively young. One of the biggest young actresses of the time, and they've got her in Secret Invasion, to play an unknown character so far. And if I'm right, I don't think that she's a character from the comics.
I don't think Gaia is a character from the comics.
I mean,
either.
maybe by name, but
Yeah.
that's maybe just about it. So not a character from the comics. Are they really going to kill her off after about 25 minutes of screen time?
They're not going to Aaron Taylor Johnson, Amelia Clark. There's no way.
I mean,
There's no way. There's no way. Because think about it. Every Skrull that we've seen, they've had a shell. Her shell is still out there. So even if Gaia is indeed dead, the shell of Amelia Clark's like real person is out there. Is she on Saber? Is she in that whole thing? There's a scene in the trailer that shows her in a room where it looks like tons of people in that kind of that Skrull stasis and one of the trailers. So while Gaia may be dead, Amelia Clark is not done in the series, I don't think.
Yeah, I've got three theories about this, but Alex, go on, you go first.
I was just going to say, I've seen some people talking about it, and I think it's actually a pretty interesting idea. When Gaia escaped and was running, and she gets shot by Gravik, she may have actually been taking the Extremis serum or something like that, and then she survives that. Like, she's dead, but he's gonna run into her eventually and be like, "You're supposed to be dead," and then she's gonna be like, "Surprise,"
And a good thing that goes along with that, remember when she was in that room, you went back to those two scientists and you saw a breach, right? So was it at that point in the show where she actually took the Super Skrull serum that had the Extremis in it, we'll see the next show start off where she's healing and comes back like we saw with the Extremis people in Iron Man 3. So,
and the most interesting thing about that too is Gravik shows that he has it in this episode, ironically. Yep. So it's I feel like maybe there's that tie of they were just going to go ahead and introduce that idea that the Skrulls are starting to take the Extremis, and I don't feel like she's dead.
No, for sure. I got three theories about this, and they kind of tie in together. So theory number one is that she's not dead. She not only is she not dead, she's not she hasn't taken Extremis, she hasn't taken any superstar stuff. She's just not dead. She kind of turned back into a Skrull just to make it look like she was dead. She was injured, but that's fine. Talos, I've got a feeling Talos is going to die before the end of this series.
Sacrifice.
It's that sort of thing. And she will join Nick Fury and Gaia, Abigail Brand. She will assume the identity of a human called Abigail. Abigail.
Maybe
she already has. Right. So that brings me on to my next theory. This is my next theory, that the human that she's simming is Abigail Brand. Yeah. So that's the human that she's simming, and she's a normal human. Yeah. So she's just a normal person, and she gets dragged into this because of who she looks like. Yeah, so that's my next theory. My last theory, which I think this actually could potentially be true, is that she was already an agent for Fury. She was with Fury, and Fury got Gaia to sim this other agent, and she's already she's
on Saber.
Abigail Brand is a human on Saber, and Gaia simmed Abigail to be on Earth, and Fury was always working with her, and Gaia is actually dead, but Abigail Brand is on Saber and not dead.
Yep, that's the comment about the shell. The shell's still out there somewhere, and so, and I think of all the people, in Secret Invasion that you probably couldn't do the run without, Abigail Brand's a big one. People keep referencing that Daisy Johnson's going to show up as Quake in the series. I don't see that happening, but if you want to introduce a big character, I think will be the perfect time to do Abigail Brand.
Yeah, she's a badass character as well. I love Abigail Brand. And in the Secret, I know they said to the director to not read Secret Invasion, but she's cool in Secret Invasion.
Well, and there's that shot in the trailer where Amelia Clark's in that black leather jumpsuit, and it kind of looks like something that Abigail Brand would wear, So I'm kind of I kind of see it. So it's I feel like that's gonna come later on. But it's that shot in the trailer where she's standing there pointing the gun at somebody, and she's in the suit, and I think she's her hair looks darker even in that scene.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
where all the rumors came from, that she would be Abigail Brand, because that's that dark. It was almost green. It was so dark, it was almost green.
Yeah. So
from the chat here via Facebook, she ain't dead, no way. So they don't believe it either. So, but sometimes Marvel with these series, like the whole WandaVision thing, we all thought it was something else, and everything we saw on screen was what happened. Falcon Winter Soldier, Besides finding out that Sharon Carter was the power broker, everything else pretty much showed you played out on the screen. So, with this series though, this would be the perfect time to throw some big misdirection because that's what Secret Invasion is, right? It's trickery, it's misdirection. This would be the best time to do some kind of misdirection. Which brings me to Fury's wife, Priscilla / Vara. Are they playing, a game here? One, we all knew Fury knew that his wife was a Skrull. People kept saying there's no way he didn't know that. I'm like, he knows
that now.
Yeah, we know that.
I think because of that flashback, I think we know that now that he knew.
Yeah. And then as far as, I guess she's upset because we found out that he got snapped. She didn't. She found how to be before Nick Fury again, in which those ties to Gravik. But again, does this seem like misdirection between them two? Because in some of those scenes, we saw her when she went on the phone call. Then when she goes to the safe deposit box, she wasn't completely sure. That phone call, which supposedly was Rhodey on the other line, where she wanted to talk to Gravik, and she's like, "You're not talking to Gravik, you're not dealing with me now." Was that really Rhodey? Was that the person that's in the president's office? Because again, in the trailer, we see Nick Fury shooting down the helicopter with the president, leading that maybe that the president could be acting as Fury or Rhodey at that time too, as well. Yeah, people say he called him Nick when he fired him, but the rest of the conversation, he called him Fury. So he called him Nick once through that whole conversation. Also, too, the whole distrust about other people around you. You don't know who's who. So, again, this could be some of that similar Winter Soldier, secret type stuff that they have to do where we get that twist in the end. So,
I really like the idea of her going to get the gun because she's actually against Fury. And I'll explain to this why. Because it kind of puts Fury and Talos in this situation where they've got nobody else but the other. And they have to kind of like work together because even the people close to them, like Gaia's on Gravik's side, Fury's wife is on Gravik's side. Like you get this weird like kind of situation where they've all got history with one another, and it's like everybody against Fury and Talos, and
me against the world.
Yeah, and it's literally because it's like Talos has been taking Fury's identity, so it's like me, myself, and I kind of there, and. Yeah, like you get kind of like that really interesting situation where like it seems like really weird to me that everybody's just fallen behind on Gravik, but Gravik had like a powerful story that he could tell people that would unite people, that would like, hey, like I should be your leader kind of type of thing. And like, yeah, like it seems like everybody's kind of just fallen in line with it. And I kind of would find it almost harder to believe that they would not maybe take Gravik's side, like Fury's wife, for instance,
From the chat here, the Nostalgic Pod Blast via YouTube. In episode 2 of Secret Invasion, I found it funny how Nick Fury is told to be incognito on the train in Russia, yet Nick is shouting on the train like it's Pulp Fiction.
I said he sounded like Jules from Pulp Fiction in that moment. Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah, and he was like, he was so loud. Train cars have thin walls, and then just a small nitpick. I enjoyed the show. That's a great point. And that's what, like I said, Andy was saying last time that was a Pulp Fiction moment.
It was.
Yeah,
and then he tells Talos to leave, and just say, and then he's like, that was like his, like he was just changing personalities and appearances just to like fool people to keep them away from Nick Fury, and then he's like, get out of here, like I'm just gonna do this all by myself now. Like, okay,
definitely for sure.
But, hold on real quick.
Go on. Okay, what we got?
Okay, so why is it Nick worried that some of the Avengers specifically are Skrulls? Because Rhodey and Talos have told him that they've been around longer than anybody. That's Jimmy Cloud there, I think, from Facebook. So I don't think he's worried because they're not around right now, and maybe that's a good question because
I feel like maybe it's got something to do with like most of the Avengers have powers, and none of the Skrulls have like powers yet, like other than shape shifting. But then you've also kind of got like the weird little like situation thrown in there that like if you do get the Avengers involved, or if you start going at that, then they might start fighting amongst themselves when they think that, hey, this person, like, hey, is Falcon a Skrull? Like, like he's got no powers. Like, he might be a Skrull, and like, I don't know.
Or even you could possibly Clint, Clint or Kate or I'm trying to think who else. Yeah,
I'd be devastated if Clint was a Skrull.
Yeah.
Can't be.
But the other thing too, that there's another dynamic is that Gravik is not worried about the Avengers at all. No. So he has some kind of plan here. You know that they're now getting powers. Maybe that's his whole thing, is that if we become Super Skrulls, Avengers can't do anything to us. But that whole thing of him not being worried is also in the dynamic there to think about.
Something I think about at the moment is talking about who's a Skrull and who's not a Skrull. I think Nick's a Skrull. I just don't think he knows he's a Skrull. I think that Nick is a Skrull.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go. Sent by the actual Nick Fury. I think Nick Fury has made this Nick Fury that we're seeing right now as a Skrull, but he does not know that he's a Skrull. But he's acting as Nick Fury, and our Nick Fury, the actual Nick Fury, is still on Saber, conducting events from up on Saber.
that's almost like a Sixth Sense kind of twist.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, you know,
That's what I'm thinking.
It would be interesting too to see at the end of the series that we see Nick Fury up on Saber in one of those pods, like the other Skrulls have.
Yeah.
That he voluntarily did that just to make sure, that he survives.
Yeah. Somebody there.
Someone said it's creepy that Nick's woman is a Skrull from Facebook. But
it's not RMC. It's Chance. Hi, Chance. How you doing?
I mean, there was I said this a while back, and then who else in the group was it? What is her name in the group that had a similar theory about this too as well? About this could be how we get Hulkling in the MCU.
Yeah.
Cassie had that post about there could be some couple out there who doesn't know they're Skrulls, or that one doesn't know that they're Skrull because they're so deep and they have a child together, and that's how one way that we get a Hulkling in the MCU instead of a Kree Skrull hybrid, he's a human Skrull hybrid. I said, maybe Fury and Priscilla had a kid, and that's how we get Hulkling in the MCU. So
I think we've got to get a Skrull that doesn't know they're a Skrull, like a human that doesn't know they're a Skrull. Sorry, or yeah, you get my point. We've got to get that. I have to see an actor play that out. That kind of that total deception of themselves, really need to see that.
and I feel like if that happens, the highest chance I feel like for anybody to be one is probably Rhodey.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I think Don Cheadle could do that to death. He'd be so good at doing that kind of like that cheated kind of attitude. Like I thought I knew who I was. I can see Don Cheadle doing that, almost having a breakdown. I think that would be absolutely amazing to see on screen.
Because like that part where he mentions that they found out about Skrulls like 15 years ago, like I would imagine if like Rhodey was like in a small group of people that maybe found out, maybe Skrulls immediately knew that and then went and replaced them all so the word didn't get out, and it'd be like one of those things would be like, oh yeah, like we saw that like 15 years ago, but we're not that worried about it. Like don't pay that any mind. And
he's also a military man though too, and so he's, even though Stark is connected to the military and that kind of stuff, Rhodey's not just letting out military secrets, right? Because that if he knew about Skrulls 15 years ago, then they know that we don't know who we can trust. Which makes you wonder: do they already have some kind of way to detect the Skrulls other than the Captain Marvel about the memory thing? So do they already have something to detect Skrulls or a way to figure out who's a Skrull? And that's where what's the episode? Is it the next episode called? One of them's called something in storage or something like that, or I can't remember. I gotta look at the episode names. But that makes you think that they have to have some kind of method to detect who Skrulls are.
Yeah, because I mean, like, what in episode 3, like Fury talks to that guy, and that guy calls him Nick, and he instantly knows that he's a Skrull. But like, Rhodey calls him Nick when they're sitting in that restaurant too.
One time though, we fired him.
This is it. This is what I was talking about at the top of this conversation about how what I love about this show is you just don't know what's going on. Like you just don't know what's happening.
So from the chat here, the Nostalgic Pod Blast via YouTube, bring on the Super Skrull, which I think that the next after this series we'll actually see a proper Super Skrull. The whole never send a Skrull to do a Super Skrull's job. Following up with that, with all of the Fantastic Four's powers, which to kind of see that from what they have today, with the 4 DNA samples they have, and then Jimmy Cloud via Facebook. If Fury is a Skrull, that would be the ultimate twist. Maybe the only one that would give it proper amount of drama it deserves. And that's a great point.
I can just see Samuel Jackson playing that out beautifully.
Yep.
I really can. So we've covered Gaia, we've covered Gravik, we've covered Rhodey, we've covered Fury. What about Talos? Like, where's Talos sitting in this story at this moment? Like I said, I've got a strong suspicion that he's going to be, he's going to croak it before the end of this season. I don't see him getting out of this show alive.
I really like this, I guess, episode because him and Fury are kind of having this back and forth of like, we both help each other kind of type of thing. Like, like he basically makes like an argument to Fury that you've kind of taken us for granted all this time. Yep. Like we've been fighting your wars for you kind of type of thing. And like, you're supposed to scratch our back, we scratch yours kind of type of thing. And this is like a give and take kind of helping mutual benefit. But yeah, it just doesn't feel that way towards him. And I feel like he's kind of like going down as like the enemy from the Skrulls. Like, it's like, oh, it's almost like disgraceful for him that he was thrown off the council. He was like once Skrull general, and it's like, hey, you couldn't do your job right. So now we've given it to somebody else. And I like that scene where he's talking to Fury and he's like, you need to like tell me that you need me.
Yep.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, because like Fury like normally would not want to do that to anybody, and like like in this situation he needs Talos, like so.
You also notice too in that conversation that they talk about that there's a lead on a rebel Skrull high in the U.S. government. So a rebel Skrull though, is that a rebel on their side or a rebel meaning on the other side? Again, that could be Rhodey if he's a rebel, not on the bad Skrulls, but on the side of Talos still. Or it could be the president, and that could be on the other side with Gravik. We don't know. That was an interesting line drop there about that rebel Skrull high in the U.S. government.
Mm-hmm. There's only two factions that we know about right now, basically, and that's the people that are against Gravik and the people that are with Gravik. So, like, if you throw in like a third party of Skrulls with their own agenda, I mean, that just completely makes this like a whole different, ball game.
So Sonya, we see Sonya again this episode. One of the funniest things there is the eye patch on the owl because she finds the bug, right? And then she tells Fury that she's working on her own infiltration, right? Mm-hmm. Or she has her own infiltration going on, but she's on the computer. What is she doing on the computer?
She makes it very obvious, the person that she's looking at. I was trying to figure out whether we knew that person or not.
Yeah.
The camera angle kind of pans on that picture of that guy on that file, and I was like, who is that guy? I don't recognize that guy. I don't know if anybody else recognized that guy, but it was almost like we should recognize him because the camera stayed on him for a second or so.
You talking about like the submarine captain?
No, there was somebody else, and then she was working on something.
A ginger-haired guy with a beard. She sort of said, "Oh, I'm working." That's what Jarian said. Mm-hmm. I'm working on my own infiltration, and she kind of closed the file, and the camera kind of panned in on the file for half a second, and it made me feel like, because it made it very obvious that that's what they were panning in on, and I thought to myself, should I know who that is? Because I don't, but maybe somebody does. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
From the chat here, via YouTube, the Nostalgic Pod Blast, maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. will develop a device to detect the Skrulls like the sunglasses and they live. I like your thinking, but S.H.I.E.L.D. is no more, so it'd have to be Saber. Unless S.H.I.E.L.D. did it back in the day, and that's what's in storage. I gotta look at the episode names again, because I thought there was something about in storage or something to deal with storage. So S.H.I.E.L.D. could have done it back in the day, or Saber could do it now, but that's a great point. I would love to see something like that.
And if that happens, I'll only accept it if Nick Fury says, I'm here to kick ass and chew gum.
I just feel like there's such a practical way to like figure this out. And can you hear us?
Can you hear us? We can hear you. We're still here.
You're still here. I'm still here as well. I can hear you now.
Okay.
But yeah, I just feel like there's such a practical way to deal with this, like figuring out who's a Skrull and not. You can just walk up and just cut somebody's hair and see what it turns into.
Yeah.
But the Skrulls don't have hair, so I mean, like, hey, just everybody get a pair of scissors and everybody you meet, just cut off a piece of their hair, see what it turns into.
Well, the whole finger thing, kind of get away too when she cut his finger off when she was interrogating him. So
yeah,
is this Monty right here? I feel like this is a Monty.
That's Chance.
Chance, nice one.
It's a new listener. We've got Chance Bartles.
All right, Chance via Facebook. I love how in Fantastic Four issue number 2 from 1962 that introduced the Skrulls when the Skrulls were hypnotized to be cows grazing in a field.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember that now, actually. Yeah, that was great.
I gotta look up episode names because I thought there was one that talked about something about storage.
So, episode 4. I don't know anything about episode 4. I don't know what it's called, but what I do know about episode 4s is generally episode 4s are awesome.
Yep.
In
Three is
everything.
usually the kind of pivot episode, but 4 is when things start picking back up again.
This is it. This is it. Almost every single show I've ever watched, episode 4, like whether there's 6 episodes or 20 episodes, episode 4 is incredible. I remember watching Lost back in the day, and Lost episode 4 was the Locke episode where you realized that Locke was in a wheelchair beforehand, and that was the first moment I can remember. So this was, what we were talking about 15 years ago, when I remember watching a TV show and just going, oh my God, wow. And I was like absolutely blown away, because you realize that at the end of that episode, Locke was in a wheelchair before he got to the island. And then you realize there's something really cool about this island, and you can see where this show is going. And I've always had episode 4, just because of that, episode 4 has always been just drilled into my head. So maybe it's a preconception that I've got, but every time I watch a series, I'm like, episode 4, awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I really thought this last episode went really fast towards the end, like in a good way. And I feel like it's like moving that transition into episode 4. Like this is a great midpoint, I feel like, for this series to end the 3rd episode on and go into the 4th episode,
Yeah.
So
no, I think the
ahead.
series, I was just going to say, I think the series is really well paced, for what you're watching and for what the style of show that you're watching. I think it's brilliantly done, really well executed.
So episode 4, when the rumored episode list came out, was called Lost in Storage. But looking at that rumored, reported, whatever episode names, the first 3 above that don't match what the actual names were. So maybe that's it. So
I mean, wasn't Nick Fury in the first episode talking to Olivia Colman about something in a storage unit somewhere being stolen?
in the first episode, I might have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I thought he said something about like, hey, if you heard anything about this storage unit or something like that, like I could be wrong, but like I swear.
let's go back and check.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've covered Secret Invasion episode 3 quite nicely there. I think we're all looking forward to seeing where this series is going to go. There's multiple ways it could go, and that's what we really love about this series. That's what's really keeping us all gripped. I think we've all got. I think if you spoke to anybody, we've all got different theories, which is great. However, we've got other stuff to discuss today. So shall we move on to the news and rumors of the week, please, Jarian?
Yeah. So let's start off with Secret Invasion news. So Ali Salim, who is like the director of Secret Invasion, he did make a comment on if Val appears in the series. Those things on the internet are quite funny. Contessa Valentina actress Julia Louis-Dreyfus is not in the show. I'm not sure how that ended up there. So there you go. Unless that's misdirection as well, he pretty much plainly says she's not in the show.
Okay. I still think she's a Skrull, though.
Back to the chat here. Yeah, I can't find anything listing the upcoming episode names from Facebook. It was a rumored episode list, but like I just said, it doesn't match the released episodes, so I think that was more of just people speculating. But yeah, no Val in the series, but I still be surprised if Val's a Skrull. Like, we got to find out. So at some point, we got to find out Queen Ranky in this series. Do we see at the very end where the whole never send a Skrull to send a Super Skrull's job? Is someone like Val? Is it somebody else that we're not suspecting at all? But we got to figure out someone. There's got to be someone above Gravik, or maybe there's not even using that angle of Queen Ferengi, because right now the only thing we heard about was the Emperor's something colony, and that's the only thing we heard about anything higher than Gravik. So,
which I just looked it up. I just want to throw out there. Fury does mention a storage facility heist in Kazakhstan in the first episode. So maybe that's what that's related to.
Maybe.
Talking about that earlier. So
is that equipment for bombs that they're doing, or is that some kind of detection thing or something else? Yeah. Be interesting to see if they circle back to that comment. Good call. James Gunn did make some comments about the legendary Star-Lord will return at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 credits. He said, "Oh, but not quite over. We always want to give somebody a little something special, and Chris and I forever have talked about how great it would be to be able to do a legendary Star-Lord movie, a story with Star-Lord on Earth trying to adapt to the environment of Earth in the same way that somebody else might try to adapt to the alien environment of outer space. He's a fish out of water in just kind of regular water, so I can't wait to see it." And that means is we're gonna get Chris Pratt back at some point? Are they looking at doing some kind of Disney Plus special or series? And who's gonna direct it?
This is what I said this back when I first saw that. I don't think we don't need a movie about that. Please don't do a movie about that. We don't need a movie about that. However, 4 or 5 shorts, Disney Plus shorts that are 5 or 6, 7, 8 minutes long of Star-Lord cutting the grass, learning to swim, driving a car. I think that'd be fantastic. Just a total of maybe 40 minutes of footage, max, absolute max.
Him at the DMV, things
all,
like that.
All really basic stuff. And it doesn't need to be. You don't need to have any CGI. You don't need to have many actors in it. You only need to have Chris Pratt. You don't. I mean, you can obviously have other actors, but you only need to pay Chris Pratt big money. The other guys, would be normal actors. So I think that'd be great. I'd love to see that.
Address the whole kid neighbor mowing the lawn line that they had at the end. Yeah.
I mean, he's also been living in the head of a celestial, and there's one sticking out of the ocean. So, I'd like to know, his opinion on that. And, who knows, maybe he could go and climb it like Mount Everest or something like that, turn it into the new Avengers Tower or whatever,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, like the Groot shorts, exactly like the Groot shorts. Give us 6 or 7 shows, 5 or 6 minutes long of Star-Lord doing Earth things. Please don't give us a whole movie about that. We don't need a whole movie about it.
No, please no.
Elizabeth Olsen, our Scarlet Witch, she made comments on what she wants to see next for Scarlet Witch. She says, "I just really want to figure out the whole mutant thing. I would love to explore X-Men so much." And honestly, with her, whatever happens to her at the end of Multiverse of Madness, she could pretty much be the MCU's Molecule Man potentially.
Yeah.
In Secret Wars and that kind of stuff, and going forward. So you already kind of set the stage for it. So
yeah, sure, 100%.
I mean, I guess what might set her apart a little bit different from, say, other Wandas too is she's used the Darkhold. So like Doctor Strange, she's been sort of corrupted by it a little bit, so that kind of boosted her up almost another tier in another way.
Deadpool 3 news. So Jennifer Garner will be back as Elektra. So it looks like we are getting both Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Jennifer Garner's Elektra back in it. This movie, the more that comes out, feels like Deadpool kills the Fox universe.
Please kill them both on that swing.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go ahead and put a knife in this and end it,
Yeah, just they're in it for 2 minutes. He turns up, dead, both of them, and then he moves on.
Speaking of more Fox stuff, there's a rumor going around that Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen are both returning, which makes sense. It's been going on for a while that there's going to be an X-Men villain coming back, and no Cable though, so no Josh Brolin in Deadpool 3. It's being reported.
Well, as of yet, or that's a decision.
Right now, they're saying there's no Cable, but his time machine will play a pivotal role.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Wade's messing around with that time machine, isn't he? He's kind of taking advantage of the fact that he's got it. The TVA are going to go, "What are you doing?" And then, either stop it completely, and then he's just sort of, he just disobeys, or they say to him, "Look, as you've got that, can you do this for us?" Mm-hmm. And then he goes and does some jobs for him, i.e. kills the Fox first.
And I think the funniest thing about that is if you made Deadpool 2, Deadpool 2's ending is almost seamless to fit into what's going on right now. It just merges so well with all the time shenanigans and everything like that. And then you just have him going back to the late 1800s making changes, and you're like, oh man, you're definitely going to be a problem for the TVA.
from the Nostalgic Pod Blast via YouTube, how many times has Professor X died in the movies? I lost count for twice. I think it was just twice. I think it was in Dark Phoenix.
Yep.
When she gets him in the house, and then in The Last Stand.
What about Logan?
Nope.
Oh yeah, Logan.
And
yeah.
Logan
and then 838
and Multiverse.
Oh yeah.
Madness.
So
yeah.
So wait. The Last Stand, he didn't die.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Hold on.
No, I'm sorry. Days of Future Past.
The Last Stand, he did die. The Last Stand, he died because Jean killed him.
I thought that was Dark Phoenix. Or was Phoenix? I'm sorry. That wasn't called Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix was the new one. You're right. The Last Stand.
That was clean as Phoenix. The Last Stand, he died in The Last Stand. That was the first time he died, yeah? Mm-hmm. Right, okay. Then when was the next time he died on screen?
Logan?
I thought it was Logan.
I don't think he died in Days of Futures Past because they showed him getting blasted, but then he fixed it in time to fix things. So then the other one has to be in Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness.
So 3 times.
3 times. I think so.
Yep.
3 times. So 3 times. There you go.
Yep.
If anybody can raise this on 3 times, then please let us know.
Speaking of Logan, reportedly there's supposed to be multiple Wolverine variants as well. And I wonder if we're finally going to get the proper costume with one of those variants as a tease.
There's lots of rumors of that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Lots of rumors of that. I'm kind of just hoping that Hugh Jackman, as like just in normal everyday clothes, sees that and then just goes,
no,
that's ridiculous. Just kills him straight away.
And there's a small part of me that just would love to see Deadpool just trying to be contained in the TVA, running around with his swords, like stabbing people, and they're like, we gotta get this guy, and he's just making jokes and running and like slashing people and stuff.
I tell you what, this movie is gonna be such good fun. It really is. It's going to be such good fun. You got all that Deadpool quirkiness and all that Deadpool, cheekiness, multiplied by these multiverse shenanigans that we're going to be getting. All these old characters from old movies, and him just completely taking the piss out of every single one of them and killing them all whenever he gets a chance, or accidentally killing them all. I think it's going to be great.
He should totally make a joke, like if they bring him in and they like put him like on trial at the TVA, he should be like, so y'all didn't do this to Captain America, huh?
Yeah.
Like something.
There has to be some kind of joke, like that.
It'd be so funny.
Via the Facebook chat, they're really bringing my hopes up for Deadpool 3 with these rumors swirling around. Pulling from so many universes will be mind-blowing. Loki, X-Men, Daredevil characters. Even if only half of them turn it will be magnificent. And then Nostalgic Pod Blast via YouTube says correct 3 times for Professor X's deaths in the movies. Last thing about Deadpool 3, Brian Cox is rumored to be reprising his role as William Stryker as well. So
brilliant. Yeah,
this is the older Stryker they had, not the younger one in the new movies. The older one, the first ones. Yeah,
trying to sort of map this out, like Deadpool. I just feel that this is going to be a route through the multiverse, isn't it? That is what it's going to be. Just trying to map out this route. We saw earlier on this week that there was some behind the scenes footage of Ryan Reynolds in his suit in the woods. Is that him going to Logan's grave and turning back time to wake him up and get him back first before he then goes on this journey? Is he then going to end up in Daredevil and Elektra universe and kill them, and then is he going to go to the Stryker universe and meet Jean Grey and Cyclops and Storm from that universe, and then is he then going to skip on to another one? Yeah, this is going to be great.
What also makes you wonder too, is Deadpool going to play a pivotal role in Secret Wars?
I don't think he'll play a pivotal role, but I certainly think he will play a role.
Another chat from the Facebook comments, bring back Lady Deathstrike. Yep, she was pretty cool.
Yeah, she was fun.
Yeah. Speaking of Loki, Loki Season 2, part of the upcoming season of Loki will take place in the World's Columbian Exposition set in 1893 in Chicago, Illinois. At this exposition, Loki and Mobius will come face-to-face with Victor Timely. A sizable action sequence involving Loki, Morbius, Victor Timely, and Miss Minutes will occur here. So...
interesting. I wonder how Miss Minutes is going to play into that, into an action sequence.
Maybe Victor Timely is the one that started the TVA, and Miss Minutes is actually based on a real person.
Yep.
Real person, yeah.
And he
that-
creates her.
Yeah, so it's like Miss Minutes is like I guess nobody knows that Miss Minutes was an actual person at one point. Maybe they have like, what's her name, Tara Strong, the voice of Miss Minutes. Maybe like she plays like the live action Miss Minutes. That would be so cool.
Yeah, good point. I like it. Why? I mean, that actually makes sense. Maybe she dies, and that he kind of uploads a memory or a mind to the clock. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like that.
Echo News, 5 episodes with reshoots adding new characters.
Yeah, I saw this 5-episode arc because they were saying that it was going to be 6, but then they kind of went, actually they haven't really got enough for 6, so they made it 5.
Adding new characters, you said?
And reshoots.
Any word on who that might be or anything like that? Maybe Daredevil?
Well, we already know Daredevil's going to be in the show. I probably would think more Crazy Horses? No, not Crazy Horses. Yeah, what's the gang's name called? Not the track shoots, but no, her
Kazi.
Maybe Kazi. Maybe more tracksuits.
I heard
her
that
dad or grandpa was Crazy Horse, something like that.
Yes,
wasn't he?
her dad was Crazy Horse. Yeah, I heard that Kingpin's going to play a big part.
Yes.
In this movie. Yeah.
Nostalgic Pod via YouTube. Back to Loki. I hope Kang was not cut down from Loki season 2 in post production. Now that the criminal charges against actor Jonathan Majors have been proven bogus.
Although there's still some ongoing things with that, isn't there?
Yeah, there's ongoing.
It's not solved just yet. So there's stuff going on. No, I was just going to say there's stuff going on. So it's still open at the moment. No, there's no resolution to that, I don't think.
From the Facebook chat, didn't the serial killer H.H. Holmes operate doing the World's Fair? Interesting. I gotta double check that one.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but that would be really interesting.
Doctor Strange news. Benedict Cumberbatch confirms in an interview a 2024 production start for his return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He confirmed that he'll be returning to the role of Doctor Stephen Strange in 2024 to film scenes for some Marvel capers in the making. What would that be? Could that be... So if it's 2024, we know Ironheart's in 2024. We know Ironheart has some magical aspects to it. We know that Velma Stanton's going to be in there, who's from Strange's School of Things. Does that mean that we could see him pop up possibly in Ironheart?
Just looking at the dates that they've confirmed for things. Obviously Blade. So you're saying he's going to suit up in 2024.
Yeah.
Which probably means whatever he's suiting up for is going to be released in 2025.
Unless it's like some post credits, or he could
Covenant
be in a post.
Chaos?
Yeah, Covenant Chaos is a good one. Blade's a good one.
If it was Covenant Chaos, that seems like it's too soon. Covenant Chaos is scheduled for very soon, isn't it?
I mean, he could just like pop. I felt like it was coming out in 2024, so maybe he could just like pop in at the end, you know,
like kind of like he was supposed to do in WandaVision, but they cut it out.
Yeah, and I mean, like they could just use that footage maybe or something, you know. But they did have that part in what was it, Thor Ragnarok, where he tells like Loki and Thor that he monitors all the magical beings on Earth, you know. So like,
makes sense for Covenant Chaos, yeah.
When's Ironheart again?
Ironheart at the moment is well, it was supposed to be autumn 2023, but that's not going to happen. There's no update on.
Okay.
There's no update on when that's going to be.
Because it could be Ironheart, you know, like a post-credit scene, because you're going to have the Hood, you know, might get into the Dormammu stuff because of the Hood, Velma Stanton from the School of Strange, Spider-Man 4.
Yeah,
another one he could be filming scenes for.
I still think it. I think it might be Fantastic Four.
You think so? I'm trying to think what role he play in that though.
Well, I'm just looking at it's not out until 2025. Fantastic Four, early 2025. So if he's suiting up in 2024, that kind of makes sense. Otherwise, what else is it going to be unless he suits up for his own movie?
Doctor Strange in the Dark Dimension.
Dark Dimension, into the Dark Dimension.
Which I know they won't do it, but they should totally put Doctor Doom in that movie and bring him in and have Doom like do his magic instead of focus on the tech, and him and Doctor Strange are like fighting in the Dark Dimension or something. I think that would be awesome.
Doctor versus Doctor.
Doctor.
Do you concur, Doctor?
Yeah.
back to the whole World's Fair thing and H.H. Holmes. It is true. World's Fair in Chicago, where Holmes lived. So
Interesting.
WandaVision season 2. This is a little misdirection here. Deborah Jo Rupp on Agatha being basically WandaVision season 2. She said it's the second season of WandaVision for Marvel. It's very much like American Horror Story, where each season is a whole new kind of a thing. I was shocked when they called me because I really thought that would be it, and I was fine with that. But when they called, I got so excited because it's a character I never got to play. She's going to be great fun. So that's interesting too, how they're kind of making stories. Like they could even do like Vision Quest could be season 3, type of thing where they're doing different stories, but tied that came out of the WandaVision franchise.
Yeah, it could be sort of WandaVision, Vision Quest.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like it's kind of weird though, that comment, because like the AHS is kind of like an anthology series, right? And like, I mean, the MCU is basically like an anthology series. I mean, everything's connected, so it's like, I don't really feel like, I feel like we already knew that this was going to be connected to other things. You know what I'm saying? Like Multiverse of Madness
makes sense.
The ending, like, so it's kind of weird for me to make that comment. But like I feel like maybe the difference maker is going to be that like in AHS they do different seasons, and then the connections are very subtle. Like it's like, hey, we had the Blood Moon all season, then we just have a passing comment in the next season about it. So maybe it's just going to be like something kind of like that,
Yeah.
Shang-Chi sequel. Now, could Doctor Strange possibly show up on a Shang-Chi sequel as well? Because they have the ancient, cities of heaven. There's some magic a little bit there. Mm-hmm. Another place that Doctor Strange could show up. But Simu Liu in an interview says Shang-Chi 2 was meant to release just after Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. However, he adds that it keeps being pushed back due to circumstances beyond my control, which this could be the writer's strike could be having an impact on this. Also, too, if we get the SAG-AFTRA strike as well, could further complicate things. So
I think somebody said at the time about when the dates got pushed back, wouldn't be surprised if the dates get pushed back again.
I think I said that on one of our past streams. Yeah.
I feel like with the post-credit scene that we got at the end of Shang-Chi, that we almost can't not have a Shang-Chi movie before we have the Kang Dynasty, if our suspicions are correct and that the rings are tied to that whole quantum thing. We kind of need to see that first, surely. I mean, I don't know.
Well, and with the whole thing on time, right? Like the rings have been on Earth for thousands of years, right? Like, so I mean, they've been here for like ever from the human perspective, like before like some recorded history maybe. So like it'd be really interesting to see like where they came from, what all that has to do with everything, and really build into that,
Or is it more cosmic tied, because they said it was deep in space where that beacon was coming from? That ties into the McLuhans, I think.
True.
So are we going to go that route and do more cosmic with a little bit of magic involved? But it's interesting that how they're tying Wong into this from a magical perspective. So
and Miss Marvel tied the bangle to the 10 rings because they found one in a 10 rings like place. So
well, this is the point. So we've got Miss Marvel or the Marvels coming up in a very short amount of time, actually, in a couple of months' time. So can we wait that long for a Shang-Chi movie? If there surely looks like there's more connections there. And I really like Shang-Chi. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing him again. If we can see the same level of fight choreography, bring him on.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Marvels, Brie Larson on the Marvels and working with Tiona and Iman, she says it's such a delight to work with these two absolutely incredible, inside and out, incredible people, and get into the nuance of everybody having their place, and that requires all of us working together. I think the movie's going to be heartfelt and funny and badass at the same time. It's just the perfect mix of these things I'm excited to share. So
I'm strangely looking forward to this movie more than I thought I would. Even before the trailer, I was looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. It's weird. I'm looking forward to this more than I feel like I should be.
After Miss Marvel, I was sold. So I love Miss Marvel, the series. So
I mean, she's great, isn't it? I think we spoke every week when we was talking about Miss Marvel, about how good Iman Vanalim was, just generally speaking, not just as Miss Marvel, but just what a cool person she seems to be. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing more of her. But actually, yeah, I think Secret Invasion is probably driving, my interest in the Marvels a little bit more with Nick Fury and Saber, and yeah, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get to the two big Marvel news drops of the week, and these are from the Cosmic Circus. Broke these this week. First one is The Watcher. So here's the first of the two big news things. Jeffrey Wright will return as the Watcher in a Marvel Studios project releasing later this year. This would mark the first appearance of the Watcher in a Marvel Studios project outside of the confines of What If. Now, this sounds like this could be a live action Watcher coming on screen. Now, if it's going to be later this year, two shows come to mind: Loki season 2 or the Marvels, because the Marvels supposedly a big incursion happens, and that's where we could see the Watcher in some kind of thing there. And then Loki season 2 with all of the Kang and the multiverse stuff, that could be it as well. Because is Deadpool through this year? No. Okay, I was say
yeah.
Okay, I'll say Deadpool 3 could be it, but that's next year. So I think it's one of those two projects we'll see the Watcher pop up in.
Yeah. I mean, we've said all along, haven't we, that we wanted to see Jeffrey Wright in a live action Watcher role. I love Jeffrey Wright, great actor. Let's see him.
What if the Watcher helps Loki break the loop in the TVA and pulls Loki out, and it's like, hey, I need your help, Loki. Like, help me fix this thing,
Yep. Or we see him seeing that incursion happen in the Marvels, like a huge incursion happen. He's just watching, saying, "Oh no, this is the it's happening again," or something like that.
So I just read Reckoning War, which is a huge Watcher involvement in that, and to be honest, I didn't really like it. If I'm honest, it was probably one of the big story arcs that I didn't particularly like. It was just all over the place, literally all over the place. There's so much going on. But my point here is that the Watchers were front and center in that story, absolutely front and center. So I wonder whether they're, Marvel Studios are trying to bring the Watchers in so that they can not necessarily do that story, because I wouldn't be that infused by that story if they did it live action. But point is that to bring them more into the public eye.
And what's funny is we have seen them like one time in live action. They were CGI, yes. But it was in that scene with Stan Lee where he's like sitting there telling his story.
Guardians 2 post credits.
I think it was, yeah. And he's like sitting up in space in a space suit, like telling them, and they're all standing around him or whatever. So
it was Guardians 1 or Guardians 2. I can't remember which one it was.
It's Guardians 2.
Okay.
There was about 6 post credit scenes in that one, wasn't there?
Okay. Wow. Before I get to the huge news of the week, again via the Cosmic Circus, I'm gonna get to the chat real quick. The nostalgic pod blast via YouTube. Come on. What is going on here? Click on. There we go. Miss Marvel was better than Moon Knight in my opinion. I love Miss Marvel. So I liked it for different reasons. This was probably like one of the first ones we watched as an entire family, which my daughter got into. So that was a family one, but there were some aspects of Moon Knight that I really loved too as well. But I get the sentiment there.
Yeah, I mean, as on the whole, I agree. However, the Asylum in Moon Knight was possibly one of the best episodes of any television program that I've seen for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to sort of dismiss that and kind of go, oh, the show as a whole. I mean, that was absolutely incredible. So, but yes, on the whole, Miss Marvel was great. Really, really enjoyed it.
I kind of agree with this. I think my biggest issue with Moon Knight was it didn't really feel like it really was needed for what's going on right now. Like, I loved the show. The show was great, but I feel like we could have probably waited a while on a Moon Knight TV show. As terrible as that sounds, there's some projects that I think like Eternals that don't really fit in well, and they're not really acknowledged and stuff like that. But I love the project, but Miss Marvel felt like it was relevant, it's involved in everything that's going on.
Relevant
I was hoping
is the word.
Yeah, I felt like Moon Knight should have had him go into that tomb and seen the tomb of Rama Tut, things like that. Yep. And we didn't get stuff like that. And I'm just okay, it just felt like it was just kind of off in its own little pasture somewhere,
Eternals I'm kind of waiting to see with that one. I feel like they had things planned, but everything got pushed back, especially with the whole Blade thing, because we did get the Blade tease at the end with Black Knight. So I think there's some things there. Yes, we haven't heard about Tiamat much in the MCU other than I think the newspaper and She-Hulk. So, and well, who finds out what other kind of relics too? Like maybe we'll find out something with the bangles or the 10 rings. Because remember she had Excalibur at one point on the ship. So yeah, there's ties there that we don't maybe not see yet. So yeah, that's when it comes there. The next comment here. Are you fellas seeing Adam Driver cast as Reed Richards?
The nostalgic pod blast is asking some big questions.
Yeah, another one. Yep, another one. Good question here. So I don't know if they went the maker route. I can see it. I don't know if I see him as the other parts of Reed Richards, but right now it seems like the casting is up in the air with Adam Driver and Margot Robbie, and Daveed Diggs sounds like he's still on the fence about the thing. I think last time I heard was that Adam Driver and Margot Robbie were out, and it sounds like Vanessa Kirby and Matt Smith were kind of in for Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Girl. And that Daveed Diggs was still in talks to play the role. But then the whole Johnny, the Human Torch role, was kind of being quiet about who's playing that one after some rumors. So who knows? Marvel's not at SDCC. There's no D23 this year. I'm sure we'll get some kind of random announcement at some point of a cast once they get things nailed down. What do you guys think?
I think I've said about Adam Driver before. I quite like him, and I think we've said about the maker route. It makes absolute perfect sense with incursions, with multiverse stuff, to have Reed Richards as the hero and as the villain of his own movie, as Reed Richards and as the maker. And I think Adam Driver would do a great job as playing both, to be totally honest. I quite like Adam Driver. I understand people don't. I do. I think he'd make a good Reed Richards. I do think there are other people out there who could also do the job, but I'd be quite infused to see him. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm not a big fan of his. I wouldn't really care for him as Reed Richards. It wouldn't be my first choice. It probably wouldn't be my fifth choice, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised by that. I think he'd be good as like the maker, but like I would love to see him as the maker. That way, like maybe we could kill him off after one movie and never have to see him again, and be done with him. But yeah, I mean, like I couldn't imagine him as like Reed. I don't know. I just struggle with that casting for some reason.
And as far as a storyline, I would love to see one of two things: a Lost in Space type movie, like Andy was saying, where he's kind of the hero and the villain in that movie. Where they've been, but also I know Alex and I have said before, tie him to Hank Pym. That's why the whole thing within Endgame, when they tell him that the thing is leaking, oozing, that there was a similar accident with the Fantastic Four crew. They got lost in the quantum realm. I mean, you tease Subatomica in Quantum Mania. Perfect time to say they were lost in Subatomica this whole time. The villain could be Psycho Man. That's his domain. There's all kinds of ties you could do with the MCU that's already been set up for the Fantastic Four. Hopefully they don't come in, off the back with Galactus or Silver Surfer. Save that for a more bigger cosmic type event down the line, and not right now. So that's my thoughts on the storyline.
And Janet got powers from the QR, even though they didn't acknowledge them in Quantum Mania. But, like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it wouldn't be surprising if they came out of the QR and had powers,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me go back to, let me see. He followed up on this person, and I don't know if they're who they are. The Nostalgic Pod Blast says, prefer unknown actors, but that's just me. I think that would work too as well. Unknown actors would also work out as well. I don't think you need big names for these roles. Yes, they're the first family with Marvel, and a lot of things in Marvel started off tied to Fantastic Four, but we've seen they can bring lesser known actors or actors with questionable backgrounds in and still have them succeed in the MCU. Next question here from the chat. Ooh, maybe they will sneak in the Watcher project as a special. This is from Facebook chat from Jimmy Cloud. They kept a tight lid on Werewolf by Nights. Maybe this has already been in the works but didn't leak. That's a good one too. We could have a Watcher special.
Yeah.
Let me see. Got to get going, guys. Good show this week. We'll catch you next week again. I think it's RMC probably or somebody else.
It is.
All right. Catch you later, RMC. Another good point from Facebook chat. The negative zone in Annihilus would be killer as well. Exactly. You could do the,
We need an Annihilus wave at some point.
Yeah.
Not yet. I think we're not ready for that yet. But I think we definitely need that to happen. That would be amazing.
Annihilus and Blast Star. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
Now let's get to the cherry on top news for the Marvel news. This is the big one. Armor Wars news via the Cosmic Circus.
Yay.
Armor Wars is projected as the next film released on the schedule following Fantastic Four, meaning that Fantastic Four is May 2nd, 2025. Armor Wars would be July 5th, 2025. Now, this could all be in flux because we know the strike is going on now, plus a possible WGA or saga after a strike coming too. So that's the first part. Part number two, or continuing, it will star John Cheadle as Rhodey, aka War Machine, as he faces Tony Stark's worst fears, his technology falling into the wrong hands. The production company is Acid Pop Productions, and at least one of the working titles is Rigatoni. Now, this goes to believe that one of two things, and I think Alex says before we discussed this, where Rhodey could be a Skrull right now in Secret Invasion. At the end, he's not a Skrull anymore, but we find out that he missed Tony's death. He's trying to deal with that, plus all of Tony's technology getting out there into the world, and he has to basically go round all that stuff up. So that could be the basis of the movie right there. If he's a Skrull, if he's not a Skrull, but stuff's still out there. Mm-hmm. The film will adapt the comics events with the antagonist taking Tony Stark technology and repurposing it for their own gain. Now, right now, they're saying that this is in the hands of Damage Control, which would be a very crucial group in the story of this film being reported. So it sounds like, Damage Control, they were cleaning up Tony's stuff. They're looking at other powers. Maybe Damage Control was infiltrated by Skrulls. Maybe we get Spy Master, because in the comics, Spy Master was the one who started selling Tony's technology. So it could go that way. More will be reported. Since the death of Stark in Endgame, the department's mission and focus have changed. The DODC seizing all forms of Stark tech and taking law enforcement approach against individuals using the technology. This includes Edith, combat drones, sonic cannons, and Iron Man designs and projects. Mm-hmm. So, Armor Wars will serve as a payoff to what Damage Control has been up to since the events of Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah. There you go. They're going to play a big part in this, aren't they?
Yep.
I mean, it sounds like Ironheart's probably going to be on his radar too, because she's got like Stark blueprints and stuff like that, So
wait. Here's more. So Secret Invasion will tie into this heavy. The events of the show will break the camel's back and will tie directly into the event of the upcoming movie. Again, this sounds like Rhodey could be a Skrull. We find out the real Rhodey in the end wakes up. He doesn't, not around for Stark's death, and he has to go ham on everyone to get stuff back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
To deter these ever-rising threats, there was a contingency plan, an Iron Army. So basically, similar to how like the Iron Legion might be coming back, but an Iron Army, multiple individuals. But this plan will be hijacked by the film's antagonist and will pit an army of rogue Iron Men against War Machine. Mm-hmm. So, multiple people wearing the suits. I wonder if we're going to get an Adaptoid maybe in here. In the cartoons, there was an Adaptoid with Hammer from Hammer Tech. Mm-hmm. I think in the comics, the Adaptoid was Yelena in the comics, if I remember correctly. So, think about that. The mastermind behind the DODC, Damage Control, is Val. She will return following her role in Thunderbolts. We'll learn more about her intentions with metahumans are in the Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the Thunderbolts team gets suits in this one. Maybe we know that we're going to get some of the who's that team from Russia? I'm going blank.
The Winter Guard.
Yes, the Winter Guard. Maybe we'll get some new Winter Guard and they'll get the suits maybe because we know we're going to have Red Guardian back. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll get some flashbacks to Venko's father. and what's his name? What was his when he suited up?
Oh,
yeah,
Whiplash?
Not Whiplash, the other one. That had the Iron Man suit.
Crimson Dynamo?
Yeah, Crimson Dynamo. Thank you. I'm going blank there. We also got the Ursa Major tease in Black Widow in that prison. So maybe we'll get some of that stuff. Justin Hammer will return as the man Val hires to develop the team of Iron Man. So kind of taking on, because he wants revenge after Iron Man 3, right? And he wanted to build Iron Man suits in Iron Man 3. But then he got jailed. Then we kind of saw him in that short where Trevor was in jail as well. So he wants revenge and finally to build his suits instead of drones that Vanko did in Iron Man 2. Sorry, not 3. 2. Huh?
But it suits. How is a person going to fit inside this?
Yeah.
A person can't go in this. How do we put a person in this?
Right now, Sam Rockwell, who I just loved him in this role as Hammer, is going to return or is expected to return. The Iron Man group has potential to bring back classic Iron Man villains in the fray to take on War Machine. Again, Winter Guard, Crimson Dynamo aspect there. Rhodey will have Ironheart as an ally, and some other potential characters to return from previous Iron Man films. Now, Iron Man films previous. Iron Man 1, that's when we got Rhodey and kind of the War Machine tease. Iron Man 2, we got more Rhodey, and we got the Iron Legion. Iron Man 3, we got Harley. Could he be wear an Iron Man suit? Could we see the Iron Man Legion? Could we see some Extremis tech come back? Iron Lad introduction possibly in this film, maybe? I don't know. Throw me out there. Can we see Pepper wear the rescue suit again that she wore in Endgame? Does Morgan actually suit up to help out Rhodey in this? And then what about Happy?
Yeah.
The only other person I could possibly see is, could we get a crossover with Holland Spider-Man as well in this film?
Happy in an Iron Man suit is just making me laugh.
Yeah.
Just
falling over himself and bits falling off of him.
That's the huge news of the week, and it's we're getting all kind of tie-ins: DODC, Secret Invasion, past Iron Man allies. I'm trying to think who else from the first Iron Man movies that could potentially be an ally here for him.
Hear me out. I just would love, this is such a pipe dream, but I would love for them to make Frank Castle the other person in the suit that's fighting against Rhodey, and like him go and steal a bunch of Hammer tech and mix it with Iron Man tech, and just like go nuts at like Rhodey and everybody else, and he's trying to kill like people with powers and stuff like that. It's just like making Frank more of this one-man army. And then at the end of that, I think we're setting up a really interesting situation here. So Ross was like a big advocate for the Accords, right? And Ross is going to be president now. And we know mutants are coming in the future. So Ross might make like a Sokovia Accords like #2 push towards mutants and things like that. And I think at the end of this, like, let's say Rhodey is like evil, if he's actually a Skrull or something, you could use this as his way to try and like work with the government to build more superpowered Skrulls, and you could get like a big twist where like, say Frank Castle's fighting against Rhodey and you think Rhodey's the good guy, but at the end it's like Rhodey's been a Skrull for all of Armor Wars and Frank Castle's like the one who finds that out, and that would be amazing.
The other thing too, we know that Frank Castle has a military background, right? So who's to say that Frank Castle and Rhodey haven't crossed paths at some point that we don't know about, and he recruits Frank Castle to be on his team, to be his ally, like the real Rhodey.
Yeah.
So
you could have like one of those like Rhodey versus Skrull Rhodey, and we only know the difference between who's who because real Rhodey's wearing this suit and the other one's wearing the original War Machine suit. So it'd be
or maybe
cool.
Iron Patriot's back. I am Iron Patriot.
I really like that suit. That suit was
awesome. That's all I have for Marvel news. I have 2 things for DC news. Suicide Squad news. Harley Quinn, the Joker, and the Suicide Squad cause havoc in Isekai. Isekai, hope I'm saying that properly. An all-new original anime series from Warner Brothers, Japan, and Wit Studio. So it looks like we're getting an anime series of the Suicide Squad.
Okay, nice.
The last piece of news: James Gunn took to Threads, the new Instagram social media app. And basically, he said, people have asked me this a few times this morning. I'm not sure what it refers to. I am neck deep in Superman and Creature Commandos, not focused on day-to-day TV scheduling, but I can imagine. He's talking about Doom Patrol. So I guess people are saying that Doom Patrol season 2 was canceled. He further went on to say, I have now confirmation, as I surmised, no, Doom Patrol episodes are absolutely not being shelved, even though the premiere date for the next shows hasn't yet been announced to the public. So Doom Patrol is happening. We just don't know when.
Right.
Aren't they on like season 4 or something now?
I haven't really watched it. I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it yet. So
Yeah, I'm behind on it, but yeah, I mean, like I saw one of the actors put something out. I guess like she was talking about like she was hoping that it wouldn't be shelved or something. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm seeing people talk about that. Doom Patrol is a great show. You haven't watched it. Very crude. Don't watch it with children. But it's very funny.
yeah, maybe there's just confusion because there's been no news about it and people are speculating as usual. So he took out there to say, nope, it's not canceled. It's still happening. We just haven't.
It's still there.
Yeah. So that's it for the news. Anything else you want to discuss today?
I think we've covered a lot of bases there tonight. Another good episode. A few new listeners. So thank you for those guys for joining in. We've had Chance via Facebook. We've had the nostalgic Pod Blast via YouTube. We've had our usual Jamie RMC. It's been great having you on. But yeah, and we this is what it's all about. This is what we wanted to try and create. We wanted to try and create this interactive show. You guys can talk to us. We can talk to you. You can be a part of this show. That's what this is about. And there you go.
Yep. Thank you, Nostalgic Pod Blast. Thanks for saying great show, fellas. I'm more excited for. I was already excited for Armor Wars, but I'm pumped for Armor Wars now. You know, like I said, I want to see Rhodey in the spotlight in the MCU. You know, for a while now since we got the tease in the first Iron Man. You know, I'm glad Don Cheadle's in the role because I still can't see Terrence Howard in that role still. I thought Don Cheadle was the perfect person, especially looking at him from how he carries himself as a military person, that kind of stuff. Just seeing Rhodey kind of fits more. I'm sorry, Don Cheadle, I think fits the role a lot better for Rhodey. And I'm excited to see Don Cheadle in the spotlight playing this role. And I'm excited now even more to see how Secret Invasion wraps up because you know, I want to see how this is going to carry into Armor Wars.
100%.
It's probably like a decade ago. I watched that movie Hotel Rwanda with Don Cheadle, and ever since I watched that movie, I've always loved him as an actor. And like I loved when he joined the MCU because I was like so excited about it. So yeah, they definitely need to like push him forward, and it makes sense with the story. Why not do it? Like let's go. Like let's get the show on the road. And yeah,
and it kind of picks up. Too, because the whole thing with Spider-Man, Far From Home. I know was it no, but yeah, about being the new Iron Man, that kind of stuff, and how they took Far From Home. Or I'm sorry, No Way Home, and he's kind of on his own now, and then we kind of shifting towards Rhodey and Ironheart being the new Iron Man piece of the MCU. I think it's a better route they're taking, and then trying to put all that on Peter Parker and Spider-Man. So
yeah, agreed. Yeah, move away from that. Move away from Spider. Yeah. Let's Friday bit.
From Facebook via Jimmy Cloud. Can't wait to review Secret Invasion episode 4. Yep, usually this is the big episode. So yeah, will we find out the fate of Emilia Clarke in the MCU? Will we get any more ties towards Rhodey? What Sonya was working on and her infiltration? Are we going to get a big reveal in this episode or some kind of way to detect the Skrulls? Are we going to get LMD maybe? I don't know. All kinds of ways they could go. So
can't wait for that. Jorian, where can they find us?
You can find us, chat-wise. If you want to be in the chat, go to the Facebook page, one of the Facebook groups, YouTube, Twitch, or Trovo. We are on Kick, but because it's a custom integration, we don't see the chat from Kick. Twitter, the stream is there, but we don't see the chat either. So make your way over to one of those things. And then we are also now on Threads and Instagram as well to see any kind of things from the group or any kind of updates there. So
awesome. Great stuff. Alex, Jaren, it's been an absolute pleasure. Once again, thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next week. Secret Invasion episode 4. news, rumors. We're here for you. See you next week.
See you guys.